All right, welcome back, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you listen to this podcast. It is TPP Podcast episode 3 or episode 5 of season 3. I was looking again, I was like, is it the 5th episode? It is the 5th episode, so yeah, we are back.
Some variation of another.
One variation or the other, but yes. So yeah, this month's guest is the Suave One. I also know him as G because we do know each other from back in the day. We used to work together. But welcome.
That was a long time ago now.
It was a long time ago now, exactly. It's a very long time ago. But welcome. We also have his son. He's right next to him. So we have also another possible guest. And also welcome back, Faye, again to the podcast, my co-host. All right, so glad G figured out stream together. He's like, how do I figure this thing out? So we are broadcasting live on Kick and Twitch at the moment, so you can see the Suave One's handle, Faye's handle, in case you guys want to ever check them out. I realize I keep my point over, my finger disappears right past here, but it's because there's nothing back there. But yes, we tried a little new set design, so it looks like I'm actually at a table while you guys are in the guest chairs to my this direction, whatever that direction, right?
the comfy.
Yeah. Yes, those very comfy chairs that you guys are sitting on in real life, apparently. But all right, so we always start the podcast kind of introduction. So, geez, your first time here to Suave One. Give us a little rundown of who you are, what you do, what your hobbies are, and your interests. Impress us.
All right. Well, as you see here, it says there, my name is Suave One. Father of 2. I have my youngest here with me pretty much all the time. I have a daughter who's 15. I've worked in technology since I was 17, and I've continued to do so since then. Hobbies-wise, it's gaming, as a lot of people on this platform do, as well as music creation. I've got into music production lately. So,
okay.
That kind of thing. Open for commissions. Got to get the plug.
Well, where plug your socials, where to find you, where all the stuff is.
Of
Go.
course.
Type it into chat.
Yeah,
Type it in the chat. TS1 TV will get you to me.
Okay.
TS1.TV.
TS1 has a TV. Okay.
Yeah, TS1.TV. That's me everywhere you want to be. I don't know why I'm rhyming, but hey, we're gonna go with it.
There you go.
Just go with it.
Well, there
Good
you go.
little jingle, keep it up.
Yeah,
Keep
exactly.
it up. Keep it going. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much the long and short of it. Like right now, I'm kind of I'm Scrum Master by trade. So I'm a project manager by trade. Kind of between projects right now. So just doing whatever I feel like doing, and enjoying life.
How long ago did we known you? Well, I've known you for a while, but like how long ago did we work together? How long ago was it? I feel like it's like at least a good. Can't be a decade yet. It can't be a decade, can it? No.
I think it very well might be a decade because knew me. You knew me before I was married to my second wife.
Oh yeah.
So does that mean there's a third wife now?
No, that's a whole nother story. I'm not. We'll get to that. We can get to that if we want to, but no, there's not a third wife. There almost was a third wife, but there's not.
Oh, I want to hear this story.
Oh Lord.
Well, we could save it for the it's probably coming, G. So you gotta be careful, be on guard. Out of curiosity, because I don't think I ever asked you, because I think like we always come up with people with interesting like screen names and usernames, and I know we already talked about how they come up with her names, how I came up with. How did you come up with the Suave One? Out of curiosity.
Well, I'm gonna give you the full rundown, and I apologize. You might have to bleep me out in the post, but my nickname from when I was a kid was because I am of Hispanic descent as well as Black, and I was born in the '80s. So my nickname from one of my friends was instead of Rico Suave, it was Negro Suave.
Yeah.
So I went by that for forever and ever and ever, and that's been my username forever. And then as I started doing more streaming and things like that, and started getting into some sponsored content deals, things like that. It was something they're like, we're a little uncomfortable with the dropping that name everywhere. I'm like, oh, I could just go by the Suave One, and
Okay.
I could do that, and because that was one of my things I used to say. I'm like, yes, I'm this, I'm that. I'm the Suave One. I'm here to play. I just said I'll just make the Suave One the whole thing.
Well, there you go. There you go. All right.
Makes
Cool.
sense.
That makes sense. That does make sense indeed. All right. So let's see. That's okay. So update from the host. So Faye, what have you been up to since the last time we met?
Oh dear.
You know this comes every month. You're just like.
I know. So when I tell you this every month, I'm like mostly I work and I stream. And I think in this last month, like 2 of my friends had birthdays, so like I was less of a hermit and went and celebrated birthdays for people, but I haven't done much that's worth like updating on.
I think everything's worth updating.
Yeah.
Played some horror games.
Yeah,
Found a
there you
new.
go.
I found a new song to hyper focus on. So
Nice.
or hyper fixate. I mean.
Yep.
So.
Well, there you go. There you go. I was talking about before we started the podcast, G, and you might not have missed it. So, new house eventually, and I know you live not far away. So there was an invite one night for a game.
Yeah, I
night
did see the
eventually.
invite. I did see the
So-
invite. I'm like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
I don't have a car anymore. I only bike, so it'll be a bit of a journey for me. But I'm trying to make my
Ooh.
way.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see.
I do the
But,
e-bike. I'm in that e-bike life. That's
Oh, you
another story I can talk
Ah.
about. I could talk about that. I got lots of stories. I'm always full of stories.
All right. Well, we got
Man
a
of
lot
many-
of time.
I'm a man of many stories.
Wait. So
Let me
wait. So we went from car to e-bikes. How does that work? Let's continue that little tangent for now. Out of curiosity.
Well, when you your last contract that you had was in August, and the money starts running out, it doesn't make as much sense to carry a large car note and insurance and
Makes sense.
gas and all that. So I'm like, I got rid of the car. I bought myself an e-bike to get myself around, and then for if I need to do anything with the kids, I just use Ubers. And it comes out to being costing less money than it was
Then
I
it
was
was
paying
car.
for
Makes sense.
than a car. And I'm like, yeah, that works. Works out.
Are you still
Yeah.
nice? Oh yeah, makes sense. Like as long as you're able to get around from point A to point B, yeah, like whatever mode of transportation would be
Yeah,
efficient
I'm
enough.
still in
Saving a
Philadelphia.
buckload on gas.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I don't worry about gas. I don't worry about parking. I don't worry about insurance.
There you go. That's a lot of costs you have to worry about. That's nice. So yeah, the house I did slight I guess renovate, added a mini split. So our house is not designed AC. The basement's not tall enough to put AC down there, or the attic. So the only way to do it is through a mini split, which is drilling holes through the wall outside, falling into a unit above. So did that recently. So I have I'm good for the summer. So I'm able to keep the lower level cooler while having mini units on the second floor to keep me cooler up here. So there you go. So slightly mini improvements, and then better care of my lawn. I did hire someone to cut the lawn. Not that I could do it myself, but just it just never seemed like I had the time or the right equipment to mow the lawn. And my lawn's not even that big. It's just comparison to where I lived before, where there's a gigantic 45-degree angle hill that you would have to drive the lawnmower almost tipping over just to get over it. I was no, I'm not gonna do that. Yeah. So but here it's just it's a small field. It's a rectangle, so it goes back towards, and then you would laugh at this. I'm bordered on a cemetery. Because there's a cemetery right at the back of my house. So all the way to the back. Oh wait, Faye, did I tell you about this, Faye? You're smiling at this.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't know you had a cemetery right next door. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's right down the way. We did a photo shoot during Halloween because you could just walk down the back of our house to go up into the plots and just I guess. But yeah. But other than that, I did start work. I think that probably coincides in April. Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I did say it last time, but I was unemployed for a bit, but then I found a job for HIE, so based out of New York. But yeah, New York, Rochester. So over the west. I never really gone western side. You know, I always go to like New York City, which is like over here, but no west. But it's been interesting. It's back. It's actually, you know, the funny part of it is it's a client that our former company we worked together actually supported. So I get to talk to people at our old company still that are still work there. Yeah. Well, not many people that I know still there, but you know how it is with the downsizing. They went through, like, you know,
Yeah. Recently too.
recently too. But yeah. Oh yeah, that's
Cool.
pretty much.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So
See, I don't feel so, bad. You see, look, he talked about all that. You could have talked about so much stuff, Faye. He had so many things to talk about. He's talking about his lawn and job stuff. You could have been regaling us with everything.
You read?
I rent, so I don't pay. I don't do lawn stuff. I
Neither
work
do
at a car dealership, so I'm not allowed to talk about most of the things because I deal with people's private information.
Yeah, just give me just start reading off some social security numbers. I need to come up real quick. Real quick.
No.
Yeah, there you go. It's kind of funny though, because like when you're dealing with like the information that I am, it's literally like I'm stricken to PHI because like it's all patient protected information, so I have to like be very careful if I communicate that anywhere or share that because like I'm looking at actual patient data. So, but it's very interesting to kind of like per se, but yeah, exactly.
I'm surprised that they don't require more training and like protections for people in my position to not steal, because I have access to literally everything I need to steal your identity.
Oh wow.
I have a copy of your driver's license. I have a copy of your social security card. I have your address.
Oh, dang.
I have your bank statements. Like, if I was evil, I could do so much damage.
Wow. That's a lot. I guess because you have to.
I mean, I think that's pretty much the case for also me and Ty, because we both worked in tech, and we have access to so much information at all times, way more than we ever need, because most people don't understand what information security really is. But yeah, we could, you talk about having that.
Oh yeah.
We had access to people's medical information. We could tell. We can know exactly. We can know the most intimate details about you.
Yeah, I used to work in medical. The amount of times, it's crazy to me. Like the people who are most likely to try to violate somebody's like medical information is their family.
True. Their family or a friend of the family.
Somebody's daughter or sister or son or what have you would call up asking about someone's medical treatments, and I'm like, I'm not allowed to tell you, and they're just, but that's my sister, that's my brother, that's my grandpa. It's like, and that's I love that for you. However,
that's so great for you. However,
it's like however,
But even like I know for like me and Ty, like when we were working together, I'd be like, okay, this is not looking right. Can you look at this patient's record and tell us what's wrong? I mean, that's we're just like, look at their record, look at their treatment history, look at their
diagnosis.
Make sure that looks right. Does that look right to you? It's insane how much your computer people know about you.
And like working from the HA perspective, like there's a lot of auditing. So like if someone actually clicked on something where they're not supposed to, there's some blog somewhere that someone reviews and says, hey, that person shouldn't have clicked that for whatever reason. And then it's like, so HIPAA, PHI, everything. So like you have to understand what they did that. And then I had to train get rid of their access. Like even some people that had access to information got fired, but still had access to that information. So there's like so many like rules and stipulations about working with this kind of information. We both know the qualms about all of that for sure. But yeah, it's been interesting. I still get to work from home, thankfully, so I have no reason. I mean, to go to Rochester or Buffalo every day for work would be a very long drive to get up there and come back to Pennsylvania. So But yeah. All right. So that's what we've been up to. So we're gonna go to the first topic. So if you saw the advertisements, so then know the topic of this podcast is change. So the overarching theme. Because Faye made a comment last time where I was like, I surprisingly made like a whole podcast on adaptation, and not realizing that I did that. So I decided to say, let's try to theme these podcasts into topics. So I came up with change. So the first topic is kind of like going back, because people these days, like some people, it's very interesting, like age ranges of everyone. I know I'm probably older than possibly both of you, but in terms of that, going back to your childhood when you were a kid, like what is one technology that you remember that a kid today would probably be like, what the hell was that? And like, can you describe it? And like, is it still somewhere in your closet or somewhere like in your personal possessions that you could pull out? Well, I don't know if I can pull some of them out now, but if I had access to them. But yeah, so like one thing that I remember from back in my childhood, and probably no one knows, or like, cause like it's the regular 35mm camera. My dad had one way back in the day, right? And like, it's all based on like, you know, it wasn't like digital. So like a little canister of film, and then all the Asian, you know, folk would have the little film canisters because they put change in them, because like, you know, it's like the right size for change. So you ever seen those black and gray tops of the film canisters? But yeah, like it didn't kick to me some point until like I tried to develop film that I overexposed, but you hadn't exposed any of that film to light. And if you expose any of the film to light, then the film is technically ruined. But it was like interesting. And I don't even think I've seen many places actually develop film anymore. So if I show this to like
it's very rare to find places that still develop film. They're like specialty shops now.
Yeah. So like that technology is like so days gone by, and I think people now just like instantaneous like phones. You get pictures on the web, you upload to your socials, you do all that, and like that's still the other piece of technology that I somehow still. Oh, he needs to rejoin? Okay, we'll be back in a second. Yeah, Faye's now bigger until he comes back.
Woo!
But the other piece of technology that I still have in my closet, it's a classic Nintendo. Back in the day.
Ooh.
So like the Nintendo with the little controller and the cartridge, and you know, remember those ones where you had to like blow just to get them to work correctly at one point? And like the Game Genie and like everything. Those were classic. Oh, I'm pushing back again. 1 second. Okay.
Ooh, no mic.
Oh wait, hold on.
Can't hear you.
Hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
here you now.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. There you
Sorry, I had to switch headsets, and
Oh, no
that
problem. Dude.
didn't like that.
Oh, you don't like that? Okay, sorry. So we're
Didn't
talking.
like that, yeah.
Gotcha. You good
Talk
now?
about film. Yep, I can hear you, but we're talking
Okay,
about
okay.
film.
So film 35mm camera, then I have like classic Nintendo, like the really old school 8-bit Nintendo that I had back in the day. That's still like downstairs because I rescued it from my mom's house. I didn't want to lose it. But like any technology that you guys have that from your childhood that probably the kid doesn't have no idea what it is now that you can share.
Oh, I got a list of these because I have kids.
Oh, there you go.
Let's see. Let's see.
Fair, you have testing ground.
Testing ground. I know all the things that we can talk
Yeah.
about. Let's see the things that I've spoken about that my kids been like, what? This is simple things you don't even think about. Trying to explain to this one what a CD player is.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
No idea. Hasn't even really seen a DVD player. He's like, physical media is mysterious to him. He
Yeah.
doesn't
That
see
is
it.
true.
Because everything is like streaming nowadays.
Everything's streaming. He just never sees any physical media. That's so weird to him.
I have a whole
If
DVD
you see,
collection.
another thing I think I like is that people have said, if you ask a kid now to do a phone sound, like, pantomime, like everyone here, like, pretend like you're
Money
picking up
don't
a phone right
jiggle
now.
jabble.
Pretend like
Yeah,
you're picking up a
that's
phone.
it.
Chattering as well.
Yeah,
First voice
but they do
short.
this.
You wanna dribble, dribble. You know.
Or yeah,
Right
I've
in
seen
my
this.
ear. You really
And
listen.
Or
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, that was a walk on. Oh, sorry. Okay. Hey, the lights turned off at the end. Why did the lights turn on? I gotta fix that.
Ah,
Okay,
In the
there you
darkness. In the darkness.
go. There you go.
One of the things I think really what a really interesting part of this conversation is, if I could get a little heavy and serious for a moment, is how people are realizing like Gen Z is coming into the workforce now. How the expectations that everyone had as far as their technical acumen just doesn't exist because the technology is different. It's different, completely different.
I can talk about that. Okay, so
Go
like
for it.
I'm the lead of my department, and the two girls that work under me are both they're like 19 and 20 years old. No computer skills. One of them's like, oh my, like she comes back to ask, she's like, my computer's messing up, and I'm like, well, have you turned it off and turned it back on again? And she's like, yes.
Wow.
So I go out there, and she's like, what? No, she said she turned it off, and I go out there. She had turned the monitor off, guys.
The cycle begins anew.
And I'm like, no, you gotta turn the computer off. And she's like, I did. I'm like, the monitor is not your computer. And
What
the
the heck?
other girl didn't know that you could rename files, just like a PDF file. She didn't know how to do that. She didn't understand like Control C, Control V. Like no computer skills at all. They're not teaching them in school or anything because they all use tablets.
It's even more insidious than that because from my side, because I work a lot in software development, and there are so many young software developers that don't understand the language. They understand how to write the languages, they don't understand some of the concepts because they don't have the reference points. Like when we think of the way we were all taught to use it, we were taught file structure. It's like putting it in a filing cabinet. You take your folder, put your file in there, it goes in here. You have an address that goes back. That is all that's how computing is set up. But two things have happened. We're not worrying about space anymore on computers. We have pretty much infinite space to put anything, and people don't use filing cabinets anymore. So
Yeah, because everything's digitally saved.
everything's
now.
digitally saved. So a lot of the concepts that people that they're trying to teach kids, and I say kids, they teach young adults in college. I'm not gonna call them kids because that's really unfair to call them kids. They're young adults in college.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're talking about being taught in school, though, so they are kids
they're
when in that
kids.
context.
They're kids in that context, but they have to be taught about what a filing system is before they can really even learn that, because that is something that was an assumption that was made that, oh, they'll understand this because they've been using computers their whole life. They have no idea. My daughter has no idea.
Yeah.
My daughter is 15, almost 16 years old. She has no idea for most of the things that go on a computer. She has just no idea what things are on a computer. She can work she can work her tablet fine, she can work her phone fine, but put her in front of like a laptop or a desktop machine to try to do anything other than launch an app, she panics.
So it even goes beyond that, though, because like I said, like I work at a car dealership, and we're required by law to keep physical copies of all of the deals. So every car you buy, at least in my state, if you buy a car, there is a physical packet of papers. Even if you signed digitally, they have to print them out because when auditors come in, they check the physical file. And then, we have our digital systems aside. Because everything is done digitally and computers alphabetize things for you, we have to organize and alphabetize the filing system for all those physical packets. And the girls under me don't know how to appropriately alphabetize files because it's a concept that's so foreign to them. Because if I give you 5 names and tell you to put them in alphabet, like obviously they can get like the first letter A comes before B, but if I give you, okay, for example, Martinez with an S at the end and Martinez with a Z at the end, they don't understand why this one needs to come before this one because they don't look at the finer detail or something. I'm not really
Yep,
sure
I
what's
don't
going on
know.
there,
What's
honestly.
going
It's not even minor detail. It was, we were bought. If you know, at least like everyone up until about some millennials were bought up. The business world hadn't made a really dynamic shift until millennials were born. We didn't make this whole digital transformation until then. Even in the nascent era of personal computing and computing, everything was still based on filing systems. It was still based on manufacturing concepts. It was still based on people push a button, get an output, and that connection isn't as direct anymore. We just don't. It just isn't the world that exists anymore, and it'll be interesting because what I foresee happening is that there'll be new computer languages written and things like that, and that will become the native parlance that kind of understands the way that people are thinking about things now. But knowing how business works, we'll still be doing the same thing for at least the next 50 years. Now, they're still hiring people to do cobalt engineering, so I'm sure there's always a place for somebody with ancient
They
technology.
should technology knowledge. Wow.
So something that I'm kind of something after working with these two girls, especially because this is my first time working with somebody from Gen Z. So like millennials, when we were in middle school and even high school, we were all kind of told like, go into computers. It's like the big thing, right? And then a lot of us did, and it ended up being kind of oversaturated where a lot of people got paid way, way less than they should be getting paid because there was just too many people trying to do computers. So the next generation has done like nothing with computers. They don't know anything. And so like you said, we're probably going to get some new computing languages, but they're getting like further and further away from actually talking to the kernels of the computers. So I feel like what's going to end up happening is in like 20 years there's going to be a shortage of people who actually know how to actually write code.
Interesting. Are either of you familiar with the Warhammer 40k universe?
Yes.
Going geek. Getting to the geekdom.
Yes, I'm here.
This is the beginning of that. When people stop realizing exactly what the technical specs are behind it, and they just go through the motions, and you go through the motions enough that you don't even know why you're doing it. You think because that's what you're always done, and it becomes its own religion and language behind it because nobody knows why you have to do these things. But if you don't,
Yeah.
because
Why is that the save icon?
why is that the same? Or
man.
earlier, like the first tech, whenever he did it, whenever he was doing it, he said, "God damn this
Yeah.
freaking server," and then he clicked some things, and then it worked, and then somebody watching it doesn't understand. He's just saying that because that's how he felt. They think, well, maybe you obviously have to say, "God damn this server" every time. So, like in 1,000 years, everyone sits down and they're like, "Okay,
Yeah.
damn this server, why won't it work?" They won't know why they're doing that, but they just think that it's part of it. You need to do that because the context is completely gone.
And thus a ritual is born.
Yep,
Exactly.
exactly. Cap brings up
Yeah.
a very good acronym if you guys don't see it on the kick chat, but it's HEPCAC. Problem exists between chair and keyboard.
Yep.
So yeah.
Also,
But he's
the
like
good
a-
old 9010T error.
Yeah, but he's like
Yeah.
he's a system I guess he had a VMware, so he's a Windows Citrix VMware administrator back in the day. He says the system directory used 3 initial and department code. And that was the combination. But you're right, it has changed. I feel like even with today's day and age, like I think a life skill now has to be how to use your computer. Or like how to even use your PC or even your desktop for sure. Because no one teaches that skill that I knew.
I mean, I think
Really?
it's interesting because I don't think that it's not even something. It's like it's what constitutes home computing is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
So it does. It's like you can teach somebody that. It's just not going to necessarily be the same like when we grew up with the technology as we were learning it, because it's like I compare it to how when cars were in their early days, everyone knew how to fix their cars because you had to know how to fix a car because nobody else knew how to do anything. So since you grew up with it, you saw everything change. Like, okay, I can do this, I can do this. But when it comes to me, like, I know I have a car and I know how to operate it for the most part. But if anything went wrong, outside of some very basic troubleshooting, I need to find someone who knows more than me.
Sure.
And that's kind of because, again, I never existed in a world where I had to worry about depending on myself to get things through. I had to fix my computer problems. I had to dive into INI files to correct things. You remember Ty, you remember some of the hacks I had to do to get HIE stuff to work?
Yeah.
Just because nobody else could do that. I had to figure it out. It's nobody else could do it, and that's why I learned how to do it. And that's just based on exploration for me growing up within these structures. But I look at like my daughter, and she runs through a problem. She's like, "Dad, what does this mean? What does it say? It says there's an error. What is the error? It's like
Google the error."
Yeah. The troubleshooting skill, though, I feel like, because I feel like
significantly lower now.
Yeah, like no one can actually diagnose it, figure it out, find a solution. Like that skill is lacking.
I feel like, so like I want to be very clear here because I want to make sure that it does not come off in any way like I am disparaging the next generation at all, because this is not their fault. And like at all, this is not their fault. They're not being taught how to do this, which means it's on the generations that come before them.
True.
Which means millennials, Gen X, I'd say the boomers, but we all know that's a lost cause.
Okay.
So like
they also don't know what they're doing. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, but like because Gen Z is not being taught how to kind of diagnose and then like at least attempt to fix these things, I feel like they're losing out on a very crucial skill.
Yeah.
And that is just a basic problem solving skill. Because I've noticed people like who are millennials, I've seen so many stories of this where like a millennial, by the time they go to their manager at work and they're like, okay, I have a problem, we have like an exhaustive list of all the things we've already tried that failed. And so we, like when we finally are like, hey, we have a problem, we actually need specialty help because we have done so much already. And then I feel like Gen Z, because they haven't been taught how to kind of approach problem solving, they just stop at the first step. And then it puts them at the mercy of other people. And that's my concern. It's like they aren't self-reliant in any way. And I don't mean like like just themselves and like personally, but like as a generation, they are dependent on the generations before them to fix certain problems that we could have taught them how to fix.
Exactly.
We have created a sense of helplessness in them, and that's a failure on our part.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, there's a bit of time and moving. Any other points you guys want to add before? Because I don't think, Faye, do you have anything in your closet technology-wise that you...
Oh, I totally forgot that was where this started from. So I didn't have anything nearly as interesting. I should have gone before Suave, because the thing that I was thinking of that was like would really just confuse kids. Do you remember the toy that you'd put up to your eyes?
Oh,
had
the
a little circle thing.
The viewfinder, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have it anymore, but I had found one and showed it to my nephew one time, and he had no idea what to do with this thing.
Nice.
And just the look of absolute.
Sorry, no, keep going. I didn't mean to go that. Go on. I didn't mean to interrupt
I was
you.
going to say the look of absolute confusion was so beautiful.
I think this is the concept of the finder, right? Because you're just flipping, like, how does this work? And then you have to pull the thing out and see like the images.
Yeah, and I get why it's intuitive to people who grew, because we grew up with cameras that their cameras don't work like that. Their cameras have all been digital. And like most people don't have like professional digital where you still do hold it up. Most of them have like phones and or video cameras or things like something that has a screen that you look at, not a
Exactly.
viewfinder.
Not a viewfinder.
So I
Mhm.
can see why it wasn't intuitive to him, because he doesn't have that connection to putting something to your eyes for a viewfinder. And once I showed him like, oh, you do that and then you click, and they don't have the clicky thing anymore. So once he got it, he's like, oh, that's cool. But it was just
What?
completely foreign. It was like giving him an
Yeah.
ancient artifact from a completely different culture.
Yeah, it makes
There
sense.
was
I
a-
remember this. Good.
There was a brief trend on TikTok where Gen Z were playing Operation and Perfection for the first time. And
Oh, I didn't see any of that, and I feel like I have been.
the
I have
anxiety
missed
that they
out.
suddenly had. And they're like, this is supposed to be a game for you guys? We're like, yeah. This was a game for us.
Yeah.
Yep. Perfection,
Oh.
especially. That
Yes.
freaking
Yes.
pop up just make you jump out of your skin.
We have a baby booter in my chat. Cap is saying, don't forget how older baby boomers that QR codes that apply phone to smart TV account activate function can't understand apps on smartphones and Andy. Like,
Oh yeah, no,
possibly,
like
yeah.
at my job, I'm getting it from both sides because my managers are boomers and the people working under me are Gen Z, and so like, boomer wants me to
Nobody
do
knows.
things that I can't do. Like that's not in the realm of possibility.
True.
What if
And
we just
then
make- what if we
Gen
just make our
Z
own
doesn't know how to
AI?
do.
Yeah.
Let's make our own AI.
Yeah.
We whipping AI up in a weekend, and I saw it on the TikToks. You put an AI in, it's just all an AI, and that'll make everything better, right? So it works.
So that works, yeah. Did you guys have seen this other TikTok trend? I saw like on one time where like it's from someone from like the 90s, from 2000s and the 2000 and then I guess 20s, but then like, well, how do you make a phone call? One person holds up a phone like this. One person holds a phone like this. How do you hang up a call? One doesn't understand this. One person does this. So like different gestures for different things, like how you take a picture. One holds the camera for a
Yeah.
selfie. One holds the camera like this. So like, there's different like, yeah, people have done things differently over the years, and that's why I change. So like, technology has definitely improved since earlier times, but there's some things that are still
I
tried and true that work. But yeah, go ahead.
So I remember the first, or at least one of the first cameras that was marketed as being for selfies. It was a point and click camera that had, your viewfinder, but it also had a screen on the back. And the thing that made this one so special is the screen flipped out and turned around so you could point the camera at you and take a picture of you and your friends and see what it was going to look like. And like, I remember distinctly this commercial because it came out leading up to Halloween, or the commercial started coming out. And so like the commercial started off where they were showing these like ghoulish girls, right? And at like one's like a zombie and her jaw's like hanging off. One, I don't remember the other one. That was the one that stuck out to me. And they all get together, and so like the zombie girl goes like this, and the other girls are like hiding parts of them and take the picture, and they just look like three pretty girls about to hit the club
Oh,
because
wow.
they could see what parts to hide.
That's very interesting. I feel like
This thing has stuck with me for like 20 years.
I can imagine that too, because like, yeah, you couldn't see, like you take a camera and like hold like this and like, do you get the actual
Yeah, because
shot?
like
And
if you had a picture phone, like some of the T9 phones did have a camera, but it was like
yeah,
you'd have to like flip open your phone and the camera was on the back side, and then you had to turn your phone away, and you couldn't see anything until you'd
No.
held it out and from
That's
the
true.
other side. And your point and click, same thing. You couldn't see anything. So
exactly. So those are the technologies, folks. All right, so that kind of wraps up first topic one. And Suave or GA, I'll go either one. We do a thing called AMA questions.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, thanks, Suave. I was like, all right, thanks for
I
following.
was
But
following you the whole time. Shut up.
Nice. But God, everything alerts for that. All right, there you go. Fan going off. Lights go off again. God dang it! Lights come back on. Okay, there you go. What was I gonna say? So, do we do AMA questions? So it's kind of like ask me any question. So we each have a point to ask questions from the panel. But Faye, I put you in the first this time. Yes, I can hit you.
So, I'm gonna give context because this is gonna seem like a random question, and it is because it has nothing to do with the theme. But this just occurred like earlier in the week, and it's been in my head, and so I need other people's input on this. Okay. So, earlier in the week, I was texting my best friend, and she mentioned that there was a song. It's a country song from a while long. It's an older song called "Standing Outside the Fire" by Garth Brooks, and she said that this song reminded her of me, like I was the personification of this song, and which made me feel special because I love this song because of the lyrics and what it is. And I tried to tell another friend about how special this made me feel, and then they'd never heard of the song. Tried to play it for them, and they looked me dead in the eyes, and they go, "You know, I only listen to songs like the background, right? I don't listen to lyrics." Which blew my mind because I don't care what the backtrack of a song sounds like. If the lyrics aren't good, I'm not vibing. Just end of discussion. So we're complete opposites. So I'm kind of curious, where do y'all fall on that scale between listening to the lyrics and just bopping because it's a good backing track? Like, what's the importance level?
This is a very interesting question to me, because I am a fan of a lot of foreign music, so I don't understand lyrics. Like, I listen to a lot of J-pop right now. I don't understand lyrics. Listen to K-pop. Don't understand the lyrics. So I can't necessarily say that the lyrics are extraordinarily important to me. But if I could understand the lyrics, they might be more important to me. So it's kind of like,
yeah, like let's keep it within your language you speak fluently.
Okay.
Like,
so
because I also do listen to like J-pop and J-rock, and yeah, no, when I'm listening to things that I obviously just have no way of understanding, it does mean less. Although I've still been known to look up what the translation of the lyrics is.
Oh, absolutely.
But it does mean significantly less when I'm listening to stuff that either, you know, if it just straight up doesn't have lyrics, or if it's in a foreign tongue. But like specifically,
interestingly enough, and I'm very curious because I'm very curious your ties in all this, because I have a hypothesis here. My hypothesis is that this is also a there's not only, like, you know, personal preference, there's also a cultural reference that causes that, because I'm thinking, and there's a lot of songs that I like and I love to dance to and all that, and the lyrics mean absolutely nothing. They don't mean a goddamn thing. They're just there for whatever reason, but I'm there for the beat of the song. I want to be able something I can jam to and dance to. It's less important for me to hear those lyrics. Whereas if I am listening to something that is aimed culturally towards, white Americans, there does seem to be a little more emphasis on the lyrics versus the musicality. So it's and I wonder where Ty sits on that.
Where Ty sits it? Okay, you want to kind of
because
dive in?
I know I have a very specific lens. I see
music does, yeah.
So I'm very curious to see how how that it comes from an even more minority than I am.
Side for just a second, Capped. I got this hammock off of Amazon, and I'm willing to go back through my order history and try to find it for you if you would like. I do not have the
The brand new.
skill to make a hammock that I would trust sitting in.
There you go.
But I appreciate that for at least a moment you thought I could.
There you go. So in terms of music, I guess depending on if it's something that I cannot hear the lyrics per se, like if it's instrumental, like some music's just really fast paced and you can't. There's no way to catch it. If like you just have to like concentrate and listen, I won't enjoy it as much. But then when it comes to songs that I can actually hear and understand the lyrics, I kind of pay attention to. One example that's sticking in my head, for some reason why, I don't know why, is the Sarah McLachlan song "I Will Remember You," which is the only reason why it always sticks in my head, because like, I feel like it's just the way like the song goes about how, you know, you met someone and you didn't necessarily, you know, the memories and everything, and like just listening to the lyrics kind of makes sense, the song. So I can see Faye's point where like if you listen to a song enough that has meaning to you, then you definitely pay attention to the lyrics. But also she has a point where if you're just dancing to the song, you may hear the chorus, you may hear like certain parts of it, but then other parts kind of just like drown out at some parts. So like, but yeah, and also he does bring up a point where I had this conversation has occurred many times in this household because I live with three females, and they always talk about Taylor Swift and Taylor Swift songs. Not to like rag on Taylor Swift songs, but the lyrics of Taylor Swift songs are just like, I don't know why she's so successful. Maybe just because they're just like very catchy, but everyone always has a complaint. They're just like very generic lyrics that you can just like jam to. So, but then some people just detest that because like it's not as creative as like Olivia Rodrigo, some other artist that has like more like emphasis in their music or has some more meaning. Whereas Taylor Swift just seems like she chimes out the same music over and over and over, and it's always slight variations here or there, but it's just like you can hear the lyrics in your head. It's a catchy tune, and that's pretty much it. So that's kind of where I fall on the spectrum of lyric listening.
Yeah, I've never really been taken by any of the lyrics of the very, very few songs that I've heard by her. And I've had people be like, no, they're so deep. But it feels like, I think, from what I've been told, for her lyrics to feel deep, you kind of have to know what I'm just going to call Taylor Swift lore.
Yeah.
And if you don't have all of the background info, it doesn't sound like anything, because she apparently likes to like do subtext a lot, basically, is what I've been told. So like the first layer is just the thing that anybody can just kind of listen to, but if you know lore, then it's supposed to be like hinting at things about her life. I have no way to prove this because I don't know the lore.
What really bought this, like my statements is I'm thinking like there are some songs that I really jam to, especially that are Latino songs that I jam to, that when I think about listen to lyrics, like these lyrics mean absolutely nothing. Like let's take there's a song called La Vaca, and the whole thing is just saying La Vaca, which is just the cow, and the majority of the lyrics are just him saying the cow move, the cow move. The cow, the same cow, move. Those are the lyrics. And then he goes on. I have a cow, and it goes move. And it's like it's that's the whole thing. But it's catchy, and I will dance if it ever comes on. And I love it. But you know that's. And even like in even some hip hop songs, the hip hop does have a bit more lyricality. At least it did, but it's a little bit. It goes through its phases where it's not about necessarily lyricality. It's about it's about what the beat is behind it, and going through that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, Kev made a point. It's a very good question too, but Kev made a side point. He has one made by ship mate. His cap was in the Navy. He didn't realize. But 35 years ago, authentic ship line rope was used but lost in the moves many years ago. Oh, he doesn't have that hammock anymore. Wow.
That's a bummer.
That means you just have to board a U.S. Navy vessel and take some land. That's all you have to do, right?
There you go.
Take it. That'll be easy, right? That's easy.
Yep. All right, Faith, does it kind of answer your question for you?
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of. Let's see. What would make what would change that kinda to a yes? What's the one thing you wanted to touch on there?
Well, y'all both explained why y'all thought people might look at one or the other, but I didn't actually hear definitively. Like I said, on a scale,
On
where
a
do you
scale.
put yourself? With
Oh.
one
Okay,
end
that's
being
fair.
lyrics only is the most important thing, and one end being the like backtrack / beat being the most important thing. I assume most of y'all are going to fall in between because, you know, like I'm weird, I hardline it, but most people don't.
Yeah.
Where
Makes
do you
sense.
fall on, like, because I assume it's a little bit of both.
It's a
Like I
little bit
came
both,
in
for sure.
knowing that would
Yeah.
be the answer is a little bit of both, but like
If I
how
was,
much?
I would say, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being I only care about the music, and 10 being is that I only care about the lyrics. It'd probably be like somewhere like in a 6.5.
Okay.
I think I lean towards lyrics too, so probably like 7 at my range. But
Because
yeah.
like I know I'm like a 9 on that scale. Like the beat needs to still be good. You can have the best lyrics in the world, but if it's like droning monotone.
Yeah.
But like I'm also someone who listens to spoken word poetry just for fun. So like,
silly all.
but that's still like they have a tempo and a rhythm, and so like if you were just droning, that would be boring. I assume that's what a 10 would be.
Oh, there you go. That's what 10 would be. All right. So into that, moving on to what Cat made a comment. This ship is at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. These are target brackets and was decommissioned. So I can't get. Well,
So,
we don't say that ship or
That
diving. Yeah,
sounds
sure.
like listen, Squid. Charlie Mike
I'm
that
sorry, did you
shit,
say the Mariana Trench?
That's what he said. Mariana
Charlie
Trench.
Mike that, and get underwater and get that rope, dude.
There you go.
I don't hear anything. Charlie Mike that shit.
All right, moving to the next topic. So we talked about technology and the fact that a lot of people have not got accustomed to using the technology we currently have, but anything that's new is coming out that's starting to intrigue you. Like ChatGPT is making big rounds on, like, I guess their response to AI, and also there was a story that I just come across I remembered about. I guess ChatGPT used like an AI voice similar to Scarlett Johansson, but then Scarlett Johansson kind of said, you can't use my voice because it sounds very similar. But like AI has been taking the world by storm. So like you could talk to like ChatGPT and they'll respond to you in whatever ways you need them to respond to you and such. And then like from voice AI to pictures, so then pictures can be auto generated. Like let's say there's mouse. You can pull a picture out and say generate a mess around me, and then it'll take your picture and then generate a mess around your picture. And all right, let's take a minute. Cat ASMR.
Yes, I love it. But interestingly, like, so allow me to be the well actually guy for a second.
Okay, good.
That we don't really have AI. It doesn't AI. It's not really AI. It is large language models. It is not actively able to make decisions. It is basing it on information that's been input. But I'm really not necessarily, because it's, for the most part, it doesn't. I mean, it's getting better, and the models are getting larger. So it's approaching something similar to what would be close to, almost be close to AI, until it can actually start making decisions on its own, which it really can't yet. It's still a computer. It still needs to be told what to do, and there's still someone else that has to be able to figure out what its priorities should be eventually for those things.
Yeah, let me bring up some for context. Well, go ahead. Sorry, continue. I can bring some context.
But the thing that I'm more interested in, that I think is actually going to be more transformative, is more of the things that are in the wearable and augmented reality space. That it's going to have more of an immediate impact in terms of accessibility and usability over that short period of time. I think AI will have an impact, a real impact, when it actually can be an AI, probably sometime within the next
True.
50 or so years, I would say. It seems like an insane amount of time, but it's really not, considering what it would, especially if you consider, if you treat AI like it's a child, it's like only a couple years old now. By the time it gets 50, they have a full lifetime of experience. That's going to get it to a closer approximation of actual intelligence at that point.
Makes sense.
But wearables, I think, wearable tech is going to be a thing, and that's something that they've been trying to do for a while, and I think it keeps getting closer and
Ooh.
closer and closer.
I have one. I'm wearing right now. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, like stuff like that. We'll see more of it in vehicles and stuff like that. I think that's going to be the big spot where
technology kind of like more usable. Yeah.
It's
So
gonna
like
it's going to make it more usable to a lot more people, which I think is where you get the most innovation.
So the technology I'm pointing, but you don't know because these are the Wayfarers, the Ray-Ban Wayfarers, so they have like a camera. So part of the technology that's added into it, I can see like the benefits of it because there's speakers in here, so that I can hear if I was talking to it, and like I can say a question to it and say like, what am I looking at? And then it will take a picture of the surrounding, upload it, like, or take a scan and then give me a visual, like an audio cue what I'm looking at on my glasses, and like it's helped me identify possibly like a rose, but a rose is very simple to identify. So like you can take a picture now, say I'm looking at like a multiple monitors, a camera, could be a possible streaming setup. So, but yeah, it's all responded and also use the internet and everything. So I can see why. Like, there's no true AI yet, but there's like prompts and things reply to. But that's for context on a video. Let me see if I can get this to actually. Okay, so
before you start that video, I want to reply to Cap because you did say, and I'm not talking about implants. That's not wearable tech. That's not talking about wearables. I'm not talking about implants. Implants are something that's very far off because we don't have anything that can implant-wise that can compete with our brain at this point. Period. Point blank. There's nothing that's going to be able to interface at that level. I don't think like implants and stuff like that true really cyberpunk-esque stuff, that is a long way off. We still don't understand enough about the brain at this point to even approach what it would actually, what the things that we had imagined that technology implants would do. We haven't approached that level yet.
So I used to know a physicist, and they said the first type of implantable technology that we'll probably ever get will be like a chip in your hand that just takes over your wallet and your ID and all of that stuff. So nobody's carrying like personal information. It's all going to be in a chip.
Yeah.
And that's not like, it's not really like a brain enhancement, obviously. At that point, it's just like but it'll be like you get pulled over, you scan your hand.
Yeah.
And then it would have like your driver's license, your insurance, all of the information that they need right there. No more digging around and because it makes like safety things.
Gotcha.
And even that, I don't think that's still years and years off because.
Oh yeah, he wasn't saying anytime soon. He said that will be the first thing we have.
That's the first thing we'd have there because there's so many things. There's so many things that'd be because, like for me, from like a security perspective, implanting something in someone's hand is possibly the most insecure thing you could possibly do. Because then what? Nobody shakes hands anymore. Oh wait, you shake hands, you know it's your hand. You think, oh look, I got all your information. Thank you very much. Just think, I'm just shaking your hand, just walking through a crowd of people, scanning everyone's hands as I walk by. They
already have, things that if you have to have a special wallet to block the RFID readers and So
yes,
I do definitely agree with what you're saying, but I'm just saying we already have that problem on a small scale.
That's
so
exactly,
I can see
exactly
what the argument's going to be for I don't know. I'm not a
I-
scientist. I'm just repeating what a scientist told me.
It's interesting because it's kind of like, it's one of those things like, it's like, yes, there's a lot of things to do, but there's things that make it, we don't have the socialization yet to truly make that useful. And by that I mean, if you consider something currently that we use for security purposes all the time, we think of like keys that we all have, keys for a house, keys for this, keys for that. Those are not extraordinarily secure things. Keys are not very secure and remotely, but we have the socialization to respect that, so that the vast majority of people are going to respect a locked door. They're going to respect that is not something you should do. They are going to respect that it is frowned upon socially to try and steal someone's keys. That is the socialization that we've gotten to yet.
That reminds me of a phrase that I grew up. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
It's no problem. So I think as we get more used to what we have now, the companies we have now, of like RFID and stuff like that, once we start getting used to what that looks like and what that type of privacy looks like, then we might think about implanting it. Because it's the same case. It's like the reason why only recently have we started using like keyless entry for cars.
Yeah.
That's becoming more and more popular now, because we've had enough people. We're now used to that idea that it is easier to conceptualize and is more likely to be respected going forward, just socially respected, because people still try to steal that information. That's easily done, but most people won't, because it just isn't worth the there's no Wild West to it.
Right. All right, Faye, what's your point?
So, I was gonna say, like, the whole thing you're saying, like, while I do understand the point you're making, there was this thing that my grandmother told me growing up that kind of feels to me like that's not really where the whole, like, it wasn't a just trusted thing, because my grandma always told me locked doors only keep an honest man out, and she's not wrong.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's I mean, to the point, like,
and I would say the same thing about, though, like any like information being stolen. Like, an honest man's not trying to steal your information regardless. The same people who would be picking your locks are the same people who would be trying to steal your ID. And going back to our earlier point, the younger generations are actually getting worse at technology.
Oh yeah.
Like, at being able to interface with it. I feel like eventually there will just be less people capable of creating the things to be able to steal digital data.
I would say I would agree. That's for pretty much every security measure you run into is designed for honest people. That's what security is for. Is to keep honest people honest, because there's no one who is intent on committing a crime that is truly not considered a way to circumvent whatever security system that's been put in front of them. So when I'm talking about the socialization of it, it's more to the fact of, yes, honest people are honest, but there will be less points where you are going to accidentally or incidentally, through means of unclear societal norms, encroach on someone's privacy, encroach on someone's autonomy. Like when I was saying with keys, it's very, like I said, keys are a single point of failure. If you pick up someone's key and you know where they live, you can open their door and you can go inside. That was more of a problem before there was, in the early times of keys, that was one of the big things. It became more of a society thing, saying that breaking into someone's locks is a bad thing and you shouldn't be doing that, and we don't like this kind of behavior. then it was able to their more complex locks and all that to get the most dedicated criminal out the way. But you're not just randomly going to see someone who's nobody's necessarily thinking of, I see a key on the ground, let me just go ahead and try and find where it opens. And I feel like, and with a lot of newer things, people are just going to try and see what happens. And you're going to get some people to incidentally. I mean, that's what happens with a lot of people who accidentally find something. The people who are like, hey, I found out that, they find out one thing like, yeah, I found out my garage door opener opens up someone else's garage. Let me open it up and go in there and see what it looks like. They weren't intentionally trying to do something, but their curiosity of exploration is something that it's going to go through. But I do agree with with your grandmother. Locks only keep an honest man out. Passwords only keep an honest person out.
Sure.
There's like, there's like, the thin veneer of computer security. Everyone's like, I got a password on it. Unless you're doing like something like, at least like 12 character passwords, which I pretty much nobody does. Don't lie to me that you're saying. Maybe Ty does. But
I do.
Really,
I have a 15 character password actually. Thank you.
I have to do 16 characters for my new job. Thank you.
But for the most part, people aren't doing that.
Yeah.
And it's just that there's just the idea of security. The idea of security around it.
Mm.
And that's the only thing that they're able to do. Yes, we're over there too, buddy.
It's so ridiculous. All right, before I get kid aggro, before I get even more out of this, let me just play this real quick. Hold on. So just to kind of like go back to the point of the ChatGPT and their new part of it. Actually, audio. Is there audio? Is there no audio? Is he actually saying anything? Is it muted? I was muted. Let me start again.
Play it.
It was muted.
Play that.
Hey there. It's going great. How about you?
Oh, I don't hear it here.
Hold on.
Your chat's hearing.
Choice.
Your stream is hearing
That
it.
ceiling.
I am hearing
Are you
nothing.
in a cool industry
This is
style
my
office or
nothing
something?
voice.
Well,
I am
can you take a
nothing.
guess
Yeah,
at what
that's
it
how it
might be
works.
doing based on what I'm showing you here?
So he's talking to it and just showing the room and then extend.
From what I can see, it looks like you're in some kind of recording or production setup.
It's
With
replying.
lights, tripods, and possibly a mic. It seems like you might be gearing up to shoot a video or maybe even a live stream.
Yeah.
Okay, here, let me put if you guys can see the captions on, maybe that'll help. If you guys can actually read the stuff, you're not tiny. But,
Look at that.
okay.
In fact, we've got a new announcement to make.
That's exciting. Announcements are always a big deal. Judging by the setup, it looks like it's going to be quite the professional production.
So he's commenting about the surroundings because he's showing them the picture
It is.
and everything.
And in fact, what if I were to say that you're related to the announcement or that you are the announcement?
Me? The announcement is about me? Well, color me intrigued. Are you about to reveal something about AI? Or more specifically about me as a part of OpenAI? You've got me on the edge of my...
This is the OpenAI
really have a seat.
AI
You get the idea. What's the big news?
Yeah, we've got a new model that can interact with the world through audio, vision, and text.
audio, vision, and text.
Hello, Ryan Reynolds here from Mint
Oh,
Mobile.
Ryan Reynolds.
A very real, not
Mint Mobile.
imaginary offer.
Mint Mobile, skip. Okay. Oh, what else? Okay, well, but yeah, just literally, it's not like a true AI. So let's put it that way. It's like, it's literally, it's responding. Oh, that's so loud now. Let me put that down. It's responding to the visual, auditory, and text cues. So like, you can see if you took a picture of any of our setup, saying, hey, you're looking at maybe multiple monitors. There's lighting. There's a gigantic microphone. Maybe you're in a streaming setup or something. So like, it judges based on what it can see. So yeah, it's up to the point where I've actually kind of like started asking kind of like, she's gonna be like, really? Like, yeah, I asked JavaScript related questions to it, and like ChatGPT has come up with like kind of like how, you know, like what you need to do to program for certain scenarios of JavaScript per se. So it gives me kind of a direction where to go and what to use for the project or something I need to work on. So like, there's ways to like encroach and get information you need from it. Oh, and he's going for a bathroom break with this umbrella. But yeah. But in terms of that, any other, as everyone takes a bathroom break and going, right? Hey, any other technology, anything that you've seen? Well, I know we talked about a lot of things, but like anything that are you curious about coming out besides ChatGPT, OpenAI, or not really?
So, I'm about to say something super controversial. I don't
okay.
like ChatGPT and those OpenAI things. I think they're theft.
Oh,
I don't like the way that they are designed to work because they basically just go around the internet. They steal other people's works, humans' works, to feed, and that's what they feed into it, right? And then have it regurgitate out. It doesn't even make anything original. It spits back out basically a collage of other people's work. There's no originality there. Even he said,
Right.
like, it can't make its own decisions. It can't do
Yep.
anything
True,
original.
thanks for that.
So everything that it spits out to you is a regurgitation of a human's work, and that human's not getting paid
Right.
for the use of their work.
No, you make a valid
And-
point. Yeah.
So I am very much against them.
Okay. But you feel like in this day of age of like Gen Zs, that this will be kind of like the possible easy solution to some of their issues of dealing with certain things, or no?
No, if anything, I think it's making it worse.
Well, that's true.
Okay, because like here's what's happening. Right now, someone will go on to ChatGPT and they'll be like, give me a picture of a cat riding a unicorn, and it's gonna spit them out a picture. That picture is actually an amalgamation of different pictures that other artists have made, right? So eventually, because nobody, like the people who made the original artwork, they're not going to get paid, and eventually they're going to get less and less commissions because everyone's like, well, I can just go to ChatGPT. So there's going to be less and less artists. So eventually there will be no more art.
Yeah, I see that.
It's also like people are shortcutting important skills because they're like, oh, well, I can just get ChatGPT to do it. So like instead of writing their own papers in college or in high school, they're just having ChatGPT write their papers. And so who's going to be our researchers?
True.
Who's going to be the people who write novels? And who's going, like, we're losing the ability for people to do actual good work because, well, I can just have this thing do it for me. So eventually there will just be no more of those things because you're not going to do it if you're not making money off of it.
Makes sense. Makes sense. I feel like we had conversations with, I don't know if you were here, probably not, but I think it was probably before your co-hosting time. But where we had a conversation with one of my friends, Kishi, where she's kind of like a graphic design. So like, even with that technology of AI and generating images, like kind of since the progress of like, you know, like, do you pay these people to generate images, or you pay them to put in the phrase, say, hey, generate this, and then an amalgamation of whatever comes from that appears. So I feel like you're right. It is a sense of like losing that creativity or that work that goes to the actual person that actually does it. But it feels like, I feel like that's the direction we're kind of heading in. Sadly, at this point.
Oh
in a lot
no,
of areas.
it's definitely the direction that we're heading in, and I can still sit here and say that it is a bad thing that I do not support. Like, I do not use ChatGPT at all in any form or function because I do not support the company. And I don't use any other AI things that work work in that way for the same reasons. I'm not just picking on the one.
Oh no, that's fine. I got you. Suave, G, any comments on ChatGPT? Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah,
I was
Mike?
gonna say, like, there is an ethical way for those things to be used. Like, you know, this, like he's saying, it's a large learning model, right? There's, I know that there are companies who use that type of AI to run their like customer service chat so that like they can better filter you into the departments that you actually need to talk to.
Right.
Or if it's like a silly answer, like just a super simple thing that like, yeah, maybe it was hard for you, the customer, to find, but on their end it's a super simple response thing, like they could feed in,
Yeah.
because they have logs of customer interactions for their company. I don't mind them taking the logs that they keep for their business, feeding it into the AI to the point where when you see this question, this is the answer. And if that answer doesn't work, then you know to forward to a human.
Sure.
I'm okay with that. That would be an ethical use of it.
Okay.
But what's happening now is very unethical.
Gotcha. You have any comments, Chi?
I think it's interesting, the conversation about the ethics of AI, especially when you're saying like, you know, oh yeah, they already have information, they're using it. And yes, they have the information they're using. They have a lot of, I mean, there's less overlap there at this point. And anyone who's been in any kind of, you know, corporate setting recently, they talk everything about, they talk about big data, and they talk about machine learning and things like that, which are kind of in the same branch as what we have as these large learning models and things like that. So it is, it is, the ethics of it on both sides are questionable. They'll say that because corporations have a lot more of our information than is outwardly available on the internet.
Oh
And
yeah,
that,
no. If
that is the more, for me, that's the more chilling aspect of it, is as these larger corporations decide to link up and do things, because I know they're happening because I've worked on these projects before. So it's not like I'm like, no, this is no conspiracy. I'm like, I know what they're trying to do and how they're trying to do it. And the only thing that these large language models right now are doing are giving the case studies that they need to refine what they're using already internally, to really identify and, you know, consumerize and productize our daily lives. Um, like I said, it's kind of, it's a bit of an arms race, um, as to who is going to ridiculously. Hold on, apparently I need to get kisses. Okay, okay. Sorry, kisses break. Um, but it's interesting that like I was saying, like, who's going to horrifically endanger our rights first,
Right.
because that's kind of that's the arms race that they're currently going for. It's not, either the large language models that are publicly used are going to cannibalize all of the creative works of a bunch of people, and utilize that to regurgitate and sap that kind of thing out of the public space, or the corporations are going to figure out how to get all their information together and link it up together and put a price tag on your every single action that you do every day, and you won't be able to escape it that way either. So it's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't. We're kind of in between a rock and a hard place. And there's not really, the only way that we get out of this situation, honestly, is if we have, unfortunately, if there's more more government information and government oversight on the usages of some of these technologies, but that's unlikely to happen because police departments want to use its information too,
Mhm.
and they don't care who gets it first. They just want to use it.
True. Very true. All right, in terms of moving on, in a sense, trying to keep the thing going because we're averaging about a minute 20, or hour 20. So we got to go to the next topic, which is a AMA question from the Suave One. I know you're gonna listen. Do you have a question or something you want to kind of?
Yeah, there's always have
chat
lots of questions.
There you go.
Since we went to the heavy thing. We went to the heavy things. We got really, really deep into it. I would like to know what everyone's guilty pleasure entertainment is. What's the thing that you watch that you're guilty about watching? It's not exactly what you would normally watch, or it's not highbrow. What is your guilty pleasure in your entertainment consumption?
Let me go first, Faye? Where you going?
Well, I can't actually answer this question because I've never understood the concept of a guilty pleasure. Like, you either like something or you don't, but I've never felt guilty or ashamed of liking anything that I like. Like, if you have a problem with a thing I like, that's a you problem. So I don't really have a guilty pleasure.
Okay.
I guess that makes me lame, though.
No, let's
Cap says why YouTube cooking
give us
shorts.
I mean, what is sort of a bit of media or something you're entertained by that is a lot more niche than other people you talk to? What is that thing that's very particular to you that you enjoy, that you know that not a lot of people really get into?
That's a very, very different answer, I think, than the original question.
Yeah, I figured that because guilty pleasure gets into a lot of things. So, in order to kind of get to a conversation point, I kind of changed it up a little bit.
Okay,
yeah. Go ahead first. Ty.
Yeah. So niche-wise, I don't know. I feel like people have different views on reality TV, and like reality TV and such. And the one show, don't say Tarkov, Tarkov. The one show that I kind of watch is kind of very. It's just like a train wreck, and you're just waiting for something to happen. It's like the series of what was it, Selling Sunset, which is like a real estate show. I think I talked about this before in the podcast, but it's kind of like these like people that are real estate agents that sell stuff in Beverly Hills, apparently wear really nice clothing, drive cars, and sell $1 million houses. And I'm just like, I would never be able to afford a house like that. I would never be able to live in that area. But just watching that, you're just like, and then just like glued into the reality TV aspect. And I feel like some people just don't like watching reality because of the fact it's like very fake and contrived. And I can see their point because like plot points maybe are driven by producers because they want to see that on camera rather than the mundane working the real estate office and the contracts and all that stuff that's not exciting. But it's just like getting to like that and where you're like the voyeur aspect, I guess, to see what's going on behind the scenes, which is kind of like that kind of my niche. There's none of people watch the show that I know watch that show per se. So yeah, that answers your question.
Okay,
yeah.
So
okay.
I'm not sure which way to answer this question for myself, because usually when someone says niche, I think they mean something kind of like smaller that like less people would know about or be involved in. And then I think the concept of guilty pleasure is something that people wouldn't expect you to like. Am I correct in that assumption? And for me, those two things are inverted.
Okay.
Where like the things that are more niche that I like, I tend to be the most vocal about, and the things that people wouldn't expect me to like tend to be things that are more popular amongst a wider audience that I'm just not usually considered to be a part of.
Okay.
So which one am I answering?
Well, we're talking about. I did change it to kind of talk about what what's the more niche thing that you're into. So let's talk about the thing that is less widely known that you're really into.
I really like all the horror stuff to a degree that my friends don't always recognize. Like, I have watched so many freaking horror movies, and I've played so many of the games, and I'm at the point now where I have seen pretty much anything that anybody's going to bring up as far as movies or shows, if they're considered horror. And if I haven't seen them, it's because they're like, I got a synopsis, and then whoever was telling me about it, I then guessed the rest of the plot because I've seen so many of these things. So
Hello, my fellow neurodivergent person.
Oh yeah, very, very much so. ADHD over here.
This entire time wasn't enough indication. But yeah.
Oh, I'm stimming so hard right now.
Yeah. I see you, my people.
Or even more niche than that. Ty, you may or may not know this. You should know this. You've been watching my channel enough to know. I am a huge yarn craft nerd. So like knit, crochet, weaving, all of the things. Like I mostly knit because it's the one that's more accessible to me. But I love all yarn crafts. And just I am in every single community online that I can find. If there's drama breaking out about it, I love it because I love seeing like we don't buy from this yarn dyer anymore because insert all the receipts, or this pattern designer is canceled because they've been caught sending nasty grams to other designers, or they've been stealing patterns, or
That's a lot of drama going on in the yarn world, I think.
There's drama. The yarn fandom.
The knitting community, the knitting community got in a fight with the Olympics.
What? Okay.
This is the thing that happened 4 years ago, because there was an event hosted by this website called Ravelry, which is basically like a pattern database where previously, for if someone wanted to make a pattern and be paid for the work that they did to make the pattern, because it takes work, you have to test it, you have to make the design it, you'd have to go to a magazine. So when Ravelry came around, people were able to self-publish a pattern to a website, and then the website kind of took a small cut, but not nearly as much as a magazine is going to take. And the magazines, a lot of them would take people's rights to their patterns even. So they'd be some magazines were like, we own the right to your pattern indefinitely. Some of them were like, we own it for 3 years, and Ravelry doesn't do that. Ravelry is just we take a cut, but then it also had a forum board. You can have a friends list. So it's like a shop plus a database of just patterns and discussions, and it's Facebook all matched together for yarn craft peoples. And so there was an event that they would host every time the Olympics would come around, and it was called the Yarn Olympics or something like that. We used a very similar, and it was basically just people would get together and make kind of knit along. A knit along is basically when you and a group of your friends all agree that you're going to make this same pattern at the same time.
Oh,
and it was things that they would do together while watching the Olympics. And the Olympics got mad at us because we used the word Olympic and had a similar logo, and then tried to freaking sue the website.
Wow.
And that year, over 100,000 knitters boycotted the Olympics because what are you doing? These are the people who were like sitting at home and supporting the peoples and doing the things. And it's like, yeah, so it's like, why?
Yep.
So now we got beef with the
Things-
Olympics.
Things are heating up in the yarn fandom, yo.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean,
You
this
would
was a few
get-
year ago, but yeah, it was a thing.
Yeah. You would get along with my sister,
Niche, though.
Faye.
Nobody knows.
My sister is a big knitter. You should see she has like 3 or 4 shelves
That's a wild
units
statement.
full of yarn, like just ready for her next project and everything. She has even the machine. She does like dyeing the yarn using like flowers and stuff. So
Oh, that's so cool.
She does, like,
I
everything.
love that.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
my brain took that in a whole different place, and I'm not proud of myself.
oh jeez. Well dang. Hold on, I got a sound for that. 1 second. Where's the sound? Oh shoot. Nope, that's not it. Where? Oh, this one? No, this one, no. I put the sound on the soundboard. No. this one-
I don't know.
Just gonna say
I
to all
have,
the people in the yarn fandom, what's up, my knitters?
Yeah, what should have been this?
I
Oh, there
love
you go.
it.
There you go. Here you go. Wait, was this one? No.
I
I had
also
it.
have multiple boxes of yarn.
There you go.
And
Sorry, that was the sound I was waiting for. No, sorry.
Round of applause. Round of applause.
No.
but yeah, like your sister, I also have multiple boxes of yarn, and I've got multiple projects queued up that I'll get to eventually. Part of the problem is I live in Texas, and so like the
Oh, yeah,
idea
well,
of
you
having
would-
my project, like, you know, I tend to like to knit like bigger things, and having just a wad of yarn sitting in my lap. It's already like we're in
Warm.
May and it's hitting
Yeah.
like 98 degrees.
Exactly.
Okay. I
very
don't
true.
want a wad of wool sitting in my lap. So I've got like 2
That's
months
fair.
out of the year that I can knit right now.
Mm, makes sense.
Or you just need to get a really, really heavily AC'd area.
Welcome.
Maybe.
Fit on top of an AC unit.
Well, capping
Do
for
I
the
have to answer
point.
my- do I have to answer my
sorry.
own question or no? Do I get to answer my own question or no? Do I not?
Oh, you
Yeah,
want me to go ahead and
you
that's
can
fine.
answer,
Yeah,
absolutely.
go ahead.
So this is not. I guess it's not really niche because it's very popular right now, but it goes in and out. And this one will be absolutely no surprise to you, Ty. Zero surprise whatsoever. But probably the most niche thing that I'm into is probably professional wrestling. No, that's not a surprise to you.
Not surprising me though.
It doesn't surprise you at all because I know you don't. Faye doesn't know. Probably the audience knows that.
Yeah.
I was a professional wrestler for about 15, 16 years.
That's impressive.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Guns, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at the size of the definition now.
He's flexing for all those people listening, but yes.
Yes. I got the size, but no definition.
Mm, there you go.
But yeah, you know, I did professional wrestling. You know, I debuted shortly after September 11th, which is an inauspicious way. I also was, you know, working in New York. That's a whole other story. I'm not going to get into that. But you know, where I was training to be a wrestler was right across from the tower. So I saw that was like my daily was the tower gone. But in any case, yeah, professional wrestling has always been been like something I've been a fan of since I was
Put a banana for skill.
banana for scale. I don't have a banana.
There's no banana.
Sorry, no bananas.
Yeah.
Only guns.
Go ahead. There you go. There you go.
So just like the very sliveriest of tangentially related to what you just said. Have you heard the correlation between 9/11 and the fall of Ellen DeGeneres? They are directly connected.
How would they? Oh wait. No.
Okay, I have
Explain.
not heard this, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah. Go ahead. Explain.
Okay,
Play.
so 9/11 happens, and there was a guy who witnessed it, who was in New York at the time with his own eyes, saw the buildings collapse. He goes on to create a band. That band is My Chemical Romance. Okay, that band is
Ironically,
listed.
his name is Gerard. That's my name. Anyways,
Yes.
No.
Oh, did not know that.
Yeah.
That is irony. Cool. Okay. That band was noted as being one of the inspiration by one Stephanie Meyer, who wrote the Twilight series. It was one of the things she listed as the inspiration for the book series. A woman writes a fanfic of Twilight, which then is turned into a book called 50 Shades of Grey, which is then turned into a major motion picture. A woman is casted to be the lead actress in that movie. I do not remember her name. It's Dakota something. Anyway, she is, that is her breakout role. Yeah. What he said. That is her breakout role. And because of the popularity of the movie, she ends up being invited onto Ellen DeGeneres' show, where Ellen gives her grief about not being invited to her birthday party. So a year later, when she is invited back onto the show, Ellen again says, and I still didn't get an invite, to which Dakota responds, and you actually did get an invite. I made sure of it, and was checked on live TV for lying, which then spurred a bunch of other people coming forward about how Ellen likes to bully people, put them on the spot, because she was trying to bully Dakota on live TV, and Dakota checked her, which she's never really been checked before. And then some more people started coming forward about how actually awful she is to people behind the scenes, which then led to her show being canceled.
Oh, wow. There you go.
Impressive.
So, direct link.
Directly related. Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm chronically
like
online.
I like it a lot.
That was good.
I like it a lot.
Very good.
I love it.
All right, let's turn to the time moving forward. So kind of the spin from changes of things changing and changing for, like things that we don't want to change or things that are changing to things that are not as great. What is old reliable? So like anything that we still use doesn't need improvement, doesn't need replacement. Could be a pencil, spoon, fork, anything that you guys personally use that hasn't had an improvement or upgrade in its lifetime. I don't know. I can't really judge of anything per se that I can
lifetime. I would have to say thing that I use them, maybe because they're right there and I have way too many of them that you can't see on screen. But if you notice right behind me, there's a fan. I love my fans. They're my constant companions.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer them most of the time, even over AC. I have my fan. I have a fan there. There's a fan up that's hanging over here. There's a fan behind this curtain over here. I have 2 fans under my desk. I feel like they're reliable and they keep you cool, and they're not extraordinarily expensive to run. So I like my fans. I love my fans.
I love your fans too.
I'm a fan. I love my fans.
You're fans.
I love my fans.
Okay, I can see that. Fans are very simplistic and they provide the wind aspect of air flowing. So I can see that. I've always sometimes very funny. I always need to sleep with a fan on, just for the sheer noise of that fan humming over and over. So to calm me, I could fall asleep a lot faster. Faye, do you have anything that you road reliable technology that hasn't improved or needs to change over this time?
Okay, so I don't personally have anything. I do have a lot of, what people would consider kind of like old technology, but because it's so niche and I'm very into it, I know that there have been improvements. But if I showed you, you'd be like, yeah, no, that's old.
You have it?
Fountain pens.
Oh, fountain. Mm-hmm.
The fountain pen technology is freaking crazy. I
have a whole collection.
Oh wow!
Like I wanted to get a fountain pen at one point, and I was like overwhelmed by exactly how crazy it gets into.
Oh yeah,
things are wild with the fountain pen. Let me just go there.
oh yeah, I can't say that there's not improvements because this one's clickable. I don't think you can.
Oh, I can hear it.
And that's obviously not. That's a very recent. I remember when this was the first clickable fountain pen, and I remember when it came out just a few years ago. So, but like most of the time when I say like, oh yeah, like I collect fountain pens and I enjoy writing with fountain pens, people think like freaking 1800s.
You
And I'm
ran there
like,
with a quill. With
which
a
I
quill,
have done. I have done.
dipping it into ink.
It's not the most fun. Feathers
Mhm.
don't hold ink like the movies make you think they do.
Okay.
Much prefer a fountain pen to a dip pen. But yeah, it's like I have a lot of stuff that like people think are old and haven't changed, and I'm like, I just don't understand.
I'm trying to figure out because like looking around, a lot of things have changed, but I guess like maybe how do you even use a mirror? Like that's even the thing. Like I'm trying to figure something. The one thing I guess technology that has not needed to be improved, and I still need like a pair close by because I would need to do this, and always get sad when I'm at the supermarket and I have to like tear a coupon, like try to tear straight so don't tear with the barcode, is a pair of scissors. I don't know, maybe it's just me because scissors are like necessarily you sometimes don't have them when you need them, and then when you do have them, like you don't need them at that moment. But then there has been improvement, but the standard pair of scissors always is to cut something like coupon. But now these days age coupons are electronic. But like when you go to the store and like open the first page of like a supermarket, there's like 6 coupons there, and I have to like tear them off. But I feel like scissors are just like, I don't think you would need improvement. But then if you still use paper, then yes. And then if you don't have paper anymore, you don't have anything you need to cut, then maybe, I don't know. But I feel like that's the simplistic technology that doesn't need it.
So as someone who did hair for several years, there have definitely been improvements made to scissors.
Oh,
Also,
okay.
I think it's also funny that you talk about digital coupons. We still call it clipping.
Yes, that's true.
Which is really
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's funny. This whole thing is interesting because it reminds me of something I read the other day about something that hasn't changed. And this is nothing that I have any personal experience, but I did read this article, and it was specifically talking about there were archaeologists looking at a Neanderthal site that they dug up. They found this Neanderthal.
Oh, I think I know
site.
this story.
I think you do. You probably do. And they found these things, and they were very obviously tools that were fashioned out of bone. But they couldn't figure out exactly what they were for, and they were researching, trying to figure out what they could possibly mean. None of these scientists could figure out what this was, and it wasn't until they showed it to a leather worker, and they're immediately like, "Oh, that's a leather burnishing tool," and they're like, "Excuse me,
Mine's just like that.
Mine looks just like it, made out of bone," and that's something that hasn't changed in multiple thousands of years. That hasn't changed.
Yeah. People have tried to make improvements on it, but if you use metal, it ends up scratching the leather. And while plastic can be made more smooth, it gets brittle over time and cracks, and you end up having to replace it. But the bone ones, the more you use them, the better they get.
Yep.
Interesting.
So there's an example of a tool that really hasn't changed in thousands of years, and we figured out the best way to use it, and we haven't been able to improve it.
Right. Well, I feel like.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, because I still say it's like one of the things that when I talk about in software development when I'm working with a team, and I tell them something about why it's important to have a diversity of opinions and viewpoints, it's because of stuff like that. There's another thing. I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here. So to usually illustrate this point, what I usually bring up is like something people are familiar with. Everyone here is familiar with automatic sink faucets, correct? Everyone has used an automatic sink faucet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not new technology. We've had that for quite some time. But when they made it, they put it out there. It was out there. It was supposed to be this great new thing. But except for, there was a lack of adoption and, in African American dominated areas. And they understand why. They're like, this is a great technology, saves water, you don't have to worry about it, it's automatically on, turn automatically off. And they didn't understand why that there was such a low adoption in African American areas. It turned out
I remember this.
the reason there was low adoption is because the infrared, the way it works, it's reflecting off the skin of the person there. But they never took into account the fact that it doesn't reflect the same off of darker skin, because they didn't have anyone on the team designing it that was darker skin. And I always point that out. It's like that's why it's important to have it's not just enough to test everything. You need to have that diversity of opinion, because you don't know what you're missing. You don't know what experience someone's going to bring. You don't know how that's going to affect everything. The same thing, with those archaeologists when they're like, how, they didn't know anything about it. They didn't have the diversity of opinion, so they got someone who had the experience. Like, oh yeah, that's something very simple. But all of their PhDs combined could not figure that out for the life of them.
There was another archaeology thing with a similar outcome. They had found like this old village type thing, and they kept finding in the rubble of the houses these perfect circular things where it's like one brick high, just in a perfect circle. And almost every single house had this circle in it. So the scientists are thinking, oh, like it must be a religious thing for it to be in every single house. And then an archaeologist was like going through a small village a little ways away in the country, and he goes into one of the homes, and there's a circle thing, and the guy asks what it is, and she's like, oh, let me show you, and brings them over, and there's like a chicken and all the chicks in there, and then the chicken just kind of leaves the circle every so often, and the chicks can't get over the brick. It's literally just a trap for the baby chickens so that they don't go out and get eaten by predators.
Something simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Or there was another one where there was like, they kept finding, they were studying like a tribe, and they noticed that all the houses, they had like obsidian swords or knives up in the rafter. And they thought it was like for religious reasons. Again, it's always described as religious reasons. Until they started posting about it online, and all the moms start commenting, and they're like, it's to keep the knife away from the kids.
Simple.
It makes you wonder, an interesting question, I think, for another time is, what do you think, what will be that for our cultural time? What is the thing that they're going to find and not be able to understand what it was for? What is that thing that's going to be? What are they going to find and get the wrong idea completely? Like, are they going to find, like, they're going to find the ruins of Disneyland and think they must have worshipped a mouse? I think they worshipped a mouse.
Yeah.
I think that ancient Americans used to worship the mouse, or something,
something very outlandish.
Something outlandish like that, or will TVs be something that they think like, oh, they must have had religious, because every house they had seating areas to this box, so there must have been a religious aspect to this box that everyone felt the need to gather around it at all times. It's interesting.
True.
I wonder what are those things that when they look at us, 10, 20,000 years, in the future, what are the things they're gonna be like? What? I don't quite understand what that is.
Makes sense.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
true.
Yeah.
All right.
An interesting thought.
Yeah, very interesting thought indeed. All right, kind of we gotta catch up because we are hitting almost.
That's your question now, Ty.
2 hours. Okay, so my question. So on the theme of change and everything on change, I'm just curious, like, when was the last time you had something necessarily change for you? Could be something personal, maybe something technology that you had to learn that was totally new. It's something that, how did you adapt to that change? Because I know change for a lot of people is never, sometimes could not be a good thing, something could be a bad thing, something could be something that, you need to move forward. So anything that's come across for you personally that you can discuss that as a change that you had to kind of face and move forward from that?
I mean, I may have something that definitely changed a lot of things for me in the last, how old are you? 5 years.
There you go.
A lot of
That'll
changes
do it.
That
right
would do it.
here.
Yeah.
That is something, I always give, but less, obvious. I feel like I have the parent sheet right there. Like, what changes for you? I got a kid. Everything changes. He changes on a month-to-month basis for me. Everything is a month-to-month. You know, he isn't the same kid he was 3 months ago.
True.
He isn't the same kid he was 6 months ago.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's just everything changes so rapidly with him.
And he says, did he fall asleep?
No, he's watching. He's watching the Switch.
Oh, it's a Switch. Never mind.
Okay.
And things there's like some more things change, more things hit, and he's watching SpongeBob. That's
On
still
Switch.
a thing on the
Still
Switch.
think that. There you go.
SpongeBob came out in 1999. Still
Right.
watched by kids.
Well, I guess
Bizarre.
in terms of parenting and having a kid, then yeah, life definitely will change because you have another person to consider and in the decision making and everything, and what's best for them too. So that makes sense.
It also changes how it also has to change how I look at things. Is I don't.
Oh yeah.
I experience the world through his eyes now. That's where my experiences are focused, of how he sees things and how he interacts with things and how I can prepare him for those things. That is how I have to change, because that's what I focus on. It's like, how is it going to be for him? How is he going to be? There's a lot of nuances that comes from being a kid of mixed heritage and mixed parentage that I have to prepare myself for. Even though my daughter's also mixed, but she looks more like me, so it's less obvious. He's a little bit more going to be on the other end of the spectrum versus closer to my complexion. He's getting closer to his mother's complexion. So it's interesting. There's a lot of things I need to change and how I approach things. But that's what I have to do.
Makes sense.
Dad.
Yep. Faye? Anything in common on change or anything?
I know I took a really,
honestly,
really big swing.
I know it's a
there.
really
feel like-
big, broad
You
question
did.
too.
Swing
He took,
there.
yeah, he did.
I kind of have like the opposite problem, I think, at the moment. Like, I spent like 10 years in a relationship, and now I'm single again. And I don't know how dating works at all anymore.
Spoiler alert.
It does.
It kind of sucks.
Mm,
I don't even care. Like, I just like, nope. Nope. For me, it's, I guess, I don't know what it's like to be single without a kid anymore. I don't know what that life is like anymore. And I can imagine that's a very different experience than, I'm having a different experience than you are, because you're single with no kid. So you're not experiencing the same thing I am. And you're a woman, and dudes suck.
There's a big difference.
differences and different, yeah.
Differences.
Yeah. We could not be further apart on the spectrum of what
Yeah,
you
way out there.
That's
true.
Yeah, no, like, I've had some people like ask me if something was wrong with me because I don't have kids,
Mm.
and I'm like, no,
I've-
Yep.
I've encountered that thought. I've encountered that thought process before. I've heard that one before. It doesn't make any sense to me, but
I think it's just like societal norm at some points where like you reach a certain age and you're like, why don't you have kids yet? So that's kind of like,
well, especially when they found out I was in such a long relationship.
oh,
So,
Oh, yeah.
like, because I'm coming out of a longer relationship, they're like, well, where's your kid? Like, that's actually been that's been the follow-up question before.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, there's not, and then they're like, well, why not? And it's like,
do I need to explain biology to you?
Yeah, I know.
not.
Exactly.
the sperm never met an egg, therefore no child. I don't know how else to. That's the answer. That's why there's no kid. It didn't happen. The biological processes that require the creation of a child did not occur, therefore no child has occurred.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sincere.
True.
Obviously, there was never a second date after those questions, but I mean,
Obviously not. Obviously not.
Well,
yeah,
I
it's
think.
like I never did dating like this prior. Like every person that I dated previously were like people I'd been friends with for years, and then we dated, and then we would date for years. So now I'm doing like the dating thing for the first time, and I'm just like, what is this? Is this
I
how
know,
people were
exactly.
always doing this? Because this is a suck way to do things.
This
It
is
is
horrifying.
horrifying,
Are
dude.
you I'm gonna tangent. Have you used any of the dating apps? Just out of curiosity, did you use any of those?
Yeah, because like when I left my ex, I also left the city that we lived in, and so I didn't know anybody here. So if I wanted to go out at all, that was basically the only way to meet people. Especially because like where I work, the office that I work in is predominantly women. I think there's like 2 guys. I know one of them is gay and the other is questionable. So like not meeting people at work.
Yeah.
So like what other options really are there? I don't go to bars.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like that's what I think now. It's like I realized at some point, like I've stopped like actively trying to even really pursue any kind of that thing at this point. I look to my mom as my guide because she was, she fell in love with her life when she was in her 50s. So I figure I got some time. I can relax. I don't have to worry too much, and I can have a good time later on. Because me and my mom are way too much alike that we're very much alike. I think right now in my life is the last 8 months has been the longest period of time I've been single since I was 16 years old. And when you think about it, I'm like, God damn, that's really, bizarre. I feel like I've never really had that time, that time alone, when I'm trying to move in a month or two. And I've also never lived alone. And technically I'll never live alone again because I have kids now. But I've never, really like had a place of my own in decades,
Yeah.
like it's crazy when you think about exactly how much of your time, when you're spent in relationships and you don't realize like, yeah, things are different now. Things have changed. Everyone's different. The people dating norms are different. And I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I'm fine.
It's a wild west out here.
It's a wild west. I try to stick to the friends route. I just talk to like, hey, you're interesting. I'm going to talk to you. You're on the other side of the planet. Perfect. I don't feel obligated to actually do anything else. We can just flirt from a distance. I'm okay with that. Flirt from a distance. Leave me. Yeah. Like, man, it'd be crazy if we lived together. Until somebody starts buying plane tickets and you're like, oh, fuck, we got to do this for real shit.
Wow. All right. Well, there you go. That kind of answers my question. Thank you guys. Take our time. Faye, do you have anything? Your segment usually is whatever you're hyperfixated at the moment. So are you hyperfixated on something right now?
Now I'm just Okay, right now I'm back into 14.
Final Fantasy 14 for those people out there.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 14. I'm back into Final Fantasy 14. I found a new guild that's very nice. Not as well structured as the one that I used to run, but like, let's face it, no one's gonna run a guild to the degree that I ran my guild because I had spreadsheets.
Well, some people are just organized.
I was so organized, and I've been talking to some of the people in the guild and like telling them like, oh yeah, like this is the way that I used to do things, and they're like taking notes because they're like, oh, we never even thought of that. So like, I don't think they're gonna go full spreadsheet, but I think they're definitely gonna be utilizing some of the stuff, because I'm like, yeah, if you're wanting to, like, they're talking about how like they have low engagement and like getting people to talk and things. I'm like, oh well, like if you want people to talk more, these are the things you need to be doing. And they're like, I'm literally writing all of this down.
Well, there you go.
But I ran a large guild for 2.5 years. So like the guild that I joined, it's only 88 people, which to me is a small guild because the guild I ran was 250.
Wow.
So, but they're very nice. I very much like them. So I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, I saw you actually get into Conan Exiles. Are you trying something new or no?
Oh, so I told you I had 2 friends who had birthdays. So one of my friends is like, I guess you'd consider like a more normal girl. So for like her birthday, it was dinner and then we went to a bar for like drinks and karaoke. But the other friend is more of a hermit nerd. And like they really wanted to do a LAN party, but like as you guys know, like trying to get nerds to LAN party anymore is kind of like akin to herding cats.
Yes.
But I did get them to agree to do a Wi-Fi gaming party, and the game that the birthday person wanted to play was Conan.
Ah, okay.
So I got the game and we played that for like 2 days because that's what the birthday person wanted to do, and you do what the birthday person wants to do.
Makes sense.
It's more fun than I expected. I don't really like open world games in general. I guess a general rule outside of MMOs. And I'm not sure if this is a game that I would enjoy playing by myself. I do want to try it though, because I was having an unexpected amount of fun.
There you go.
But like pretty much the only thing I ever do enjoy with open world is MMOs, because I like that, you know, most of my problem with open worlds is they're so vast and there's just nothing to do in them. There's no one to interact with. They don't have enough NPCs. At least in Conan, that is kind of the point.
Right.
Like you're not supposed to interact with people. The people there want to murder you.
Exactly.
But we were playing on like a private server with like 10 people, so it is quite possible that the only reason I was having fun is because I was getting an almost MMO experience because of the people that were playing. So like it's 50-50 on if I tried to play it by myself, if I would enjoy it or not.
True.
And other than that, my hyperfixation has really just been on this one song, which I have not listened to a single other piece of music since last week.
It's the same song you said last time on stream?
Yes, it is the same song.
What is this song?
It is called Afraid of Quiet. I think her name's Lydia the Bard, but it's something the Bard.
Afraid of Quiet, Lydia the Bard. Yeah, you're right. I looked it up.
Yeah. The song is beautiful. And it is basically the embodiment of what living with anxiety feels like. And I find that to be very cathartic. Some of my friends are making fun of me because they're like, oh, so like you want to just listen to a song that's going to make you feel more anxious? And I'm like, actually listening to the song makes me less anxious because it makes me feel seen. But I mean, I know everyone I'm one of those people that like when I'm sad, I listen to sad songs because it makes me feel better to have that feeling that other people have been as sad as I am. But I know that there are a lot of people who are like, no, when you're sad, you listen to happy songs. No.
Right.
If I'm like depressed and you play a happy song around me, it just makes me want to hurt myself.
Like, stop being happy around me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
The song I've been listening to recently I've been listening out because wrestling. I play a lot of wrestling games. Like that's why I have fixations, wrestling games and ranking wrestlers. So I get hyperfixated if I think of a song for somebody that has a character. I get hyperfixated on the song. So the one I've been listening to on repeat, literally on repeat for the last week, is a song by it's called an artist called Infraction. It's called Keep on Fire, which I'm using as a song for one of my female created characters, and I love it so much. I'm actually I'll post the link in your
There you
I'll
go.
post the link
Or
not
post all
just
like
to
this.
not just to the song, but the video I made for the song.
Oh, there you go. Post it.
Ooh.
It's not really. It isn't that impressive. I just recorded something. It's,
That's all good.
but
I'll post it for Faye song too. So anyone wants gonna. Oop, I can't actually put the link
where should I
correctly.
post it at? Where should I post it at?
I can post it in the
You should be able to-
chat. There
Yeah,
you
you
go.
should be able to post it in the chat.
Yeah.
Okay, making sure I don't get like, nuked by some bot.
I shouldn't be able to. I don't have
I'm used to
that.
being nuked by bots.
Yeah.
Like,
Alright,
you want to listen to the
alright.
link, you must die. Oh shit.
Yeah. So that's Faye's thing, and that's your thing. Okay, I'll copy that to you. Put it over
Let's see that.
here.
I'm open
But, like, I need to
Spotify.
make it clear because it sounds stupid when I say like, "Oh, I'm just obsessed with this." I'm just hyperfixated on the song for like when I say hyperfixated, I need y'all to understand. Like, my brain has been breaking
Wait, camera
down
fan.
the
Yep, there you go.
structure of the song.
Mm-hmm.
It's echolalia.
It's like what?
Echolalia. That's what it is. That's what it's called. It's a symptom that is associated with neurodivergence. When you get it, it either is a repetitive making of a sound, or it's actually listening to a song over and over again. It's a form of echolalia. That actually
Wait for
is
it.
a particle. It's actually a part of being a neurodivergent person that our brain processes sounds differently. That our brain processes things differently. Because it's not something normal. People don't always listen to songs on repeat like that. That is something that's very much neurodivergent. So
Yeah.
it's echolalia. And it also can be in repeated sounds or repeated songs. So yeah, now you know it's echolalia.
There you go.
I didn't know there was a word for this. That makes me so happy. I thought it was weird.
Nice.
Ah!
All right. In terms of time, anything else you want to talk about today? Or you good?
I mean, unless you want me to go on to a tangent of all the things that I've already broken down about the song, which I recognize to anyone else will probably be boring. But unless that's what you want to hear about, we should
Okay.
move on.
We should move on. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna. Not a call at all, Chad. Nothing but against Faye at all. I'm just trying to keep it under a certain time frame because man, these clips get really long after a while. No, this will be a clip later. Just me calling this out. Exactly. Let me just.
This is the clip, by the way. This is the clip.
Yeah,
by the
this
way.
is the clip either way, right? There you go. I had the time master say, don't taste me. I just gotta keep going for. You gave me the option. You're like, no. I'm like, okay. All right, but
It's like, yeah, we're gonna stop there right now because we'll go on forever.
It's okay, I'm used to it.
No offense.
I love to hear the breakdown because I want to hear someone else's mind working a song. But we'll talk later. Me and you, Faye.
Yeah, because we'll talk later about it. All right, final remarks. So the last part, just to kind of wrap it up, is kind of just discuss on the something that is like, cool, also where to find people. And so, are you still trying to get back in the stream? Because I feel like you come up with like every once in a while.
Yeah.
Are you trying to?
Every once in a while, you're probably
Okay.
gonna see me, posting quite a bit because your boy needs some money. So I
Yeah.
am gonna be. I've got a few sponsored streams scheduled, and stuff like that. And I'm trying to convince myself because people ask me to do music creation stuff on stream, and I don't want to do that because I think everyone would hate it because of exactly how I listen to music. I don't think anyone
right.
can. I don't think anyone can handle how I create music. It would drive them insane.
You
Right.
actually could probably get away with streaming your creation process. People actually would probably find it really fascinating. I have another friend who also makes music. They make synthwave music, and that's what they do. Like 50% of their streams is just them streaming the process of creating a new song.
Oh yeah, I think you probably could do it, G.
Yeah, and also like I don't feel like I'm good enough to do it yet. So there's got to be some mental work.
Do it.
That's
Do it. Just do it.
Let me connect you to my friend. I don't know if y'all
Yeah.
like I don't know if y'all make any kind of similar music, but like just have connections.
There you go.
If nothing
Connections
else,
and
they'll
nothing
talk
else.
to you about music process.
Music stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate
All right.
it.
No problem. No, good. What else you guys? I know who she's talking about too, but yes. All right. So, like, to comment on something that maybe has got you excited, something maybe you watched on TV, something that you enjoyed this week, something that section is what made you giddy this week, so happy or something. Regards. I have one, and I focus on TV, and I think if I count how many times I mention Star Trek on this show, people will laugh because every time Star Trek comes up, but the flagship series that brought Star Trek back to TV after so many years, Discovery, ended this week. So I was watching the series finale, and of course, every series finale ends with like a time jump. So there's definitely a time jump to let you know this is the last episode. But I feel like it just wrapped up things pretty well. I'm not, like some series finale you're just like that ending sucked, and I feel like they just did a overall kind of like good job. They could have probably gone to another season for sure, but they ended up to 5 seasons. So the end of Star Trek Discovery is made me giddy this week. So Faye or G, or anyone want to go first?
Well, okay, so I'm trying to come up with
Mine's
something that I haven't already talked about.
Okay. Okay.
Mine was more wrestling related. I was watching NXT and they brought in a wrestler from another company that I really enjoy watching. So I was very excited about that. I can go into that and all the details on it, but that is like a literal 8-hour conversation to bring everyone up to speed on the history of professional wrestling. And that'll be a different conversation. But I was excited about professional wrestling.
Nice. Yeah, has already talked about everything she was excited about.
Yeah, I think I already did, because I think the thing that made me the most excited this week was, like I said, my friend telling me that I personified the one song. We were specifically talking about all growing up. I've known this girl for 18 years. She's been my best friend, and we were talking about she started dating someone about 2 years ago, and I was saying how happy I am for her, and because she's actually loves this dude, and because growing up she was always the one that love is not real. I will never fall in love. I'm never gonna get married. I don't want anything to do with romance. And then she meets this dude and she's like, oh yeah, it's you're the reason.
Yeah.
And the song, she's like, yeah, this song reminds me of you're this song, but you're the reason, because you were always the one who threw themselves into love and all that stuff. And I'm just and now my best friend has this guy that's so good to her, and she's so happy, and I'm just I'm so happy.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
And it makes my heart happy.
Yes, buddy.
My heart warm.
Nice. All right. Yeah, we'll wrap it up.
I'm being told that it's bedtime, as you can tell by the hand that's on my mouth.
The
right
hands
now.
of your mouth.
It's where it was.
Well, there you go. All right, putting the link again, the final G stuff, ts1.tv, so make sure you guys check that out. Thanks, Gerard, or G, or Suave, or you want to call. Thanks for being here, as usual. Thanks for coming on. All right. And thanks again for another podcast. I'm going to